Good afternoon, and before we begin our presentation, our executive lecture presentation, I just wanted to announce that you may have heard next Friday, a week tomorrow, April the 16th, we have an entrepreneurship conference here on campus sponsored by the Woodbury School of Business. We've got a great program of workshops and speakers on all aspects of starting, marketing, and getting funding for a small business. Governor Herbert will be here, our keynote speaker. President Holland will be here. I think it would be a great conference for you. If you're interested, you can go to uvu.edu/entrepreneurs and register there. And the discount code for students is UVU students in all capital letters, and that will get you a discount. So give some thought to that. Welcome to the Reed and Christine Halliday Executive Lecture Series. Pleasure to be here. Good to have you. The semester is almost coming to a close here. And so we're pleased that you're in attendance. And remember your journals. They will be due here in a couple of weeks. It's a great pleasure to introduce to you today Carla Meine. Carla is a dear friend of UVU. She is currently the chair of our National Advisory Council. And we very much appreciate her interest in the institution and the Woodbury School of Business for her guidance and counsel and advice, in particular her interest in mentoring students and in helping you to learn more about being successful in the business world. And so we appreciate her coming today and speaking to you. Let me just give you a little bit about her background. Carla has served in executive positions with Morris Airlines, Mrs. Fields Cookies, and Godfather's Pizza. While working for Morris Air, she went to an AT&T conference, so talking about conferences and getting ideas. She attended a workshop there called Bringing the Work to the Worker. There she caught the vision of having hundreds of agents working from home taking airline reservations. And then when Morris Air was sold to Southwest Airlines, she started her own business doing that very thing. Occurrence Teleservices, an inbound telemarketing company, was formed in 1994. In 2007, the company employed over 600 people, many of whom were working from home. Then in March of 2007, she sold the company to River Lake Partners, a private equity company. Since then, she and two others have established a new venture called Vast Equity, one of the only private growth equity firms in the United States that is run by women and devoted to providing funds for women in growth businesses. In 2003, she was named Utah Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year for the Consumer and Business Services category. She has been in the top 100 fastest growing companies for 5 years and was named Best of State for Customer Service in 2004. She made Utah top 10 women-owned businesses according to the Utah Business Magazine for 9 straight years. And then in 2009, she was named one of the 30 women in Utah to watch out for and to see in terms of career and growth and development by the Utah Business Magazine. She has been a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners. She is an advisor to the Women's Technology Council and is a founder of the Rollins Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology at BYU. She lives in Linden with her husband David. They have 7 children and 9 grandchildren, and she enjoys traveling, playing tennis, cycling, reading, of course being with her grandchildren, and of course UVU. Please join me in welcoming Carla Meine.
Thank you, Ian. He's right. I love being here at UVU. I love being involved with the students, especially the mentoring part of the opportunity that I have here, and then the opportunity to speak. I always think about, okay, when I was in college and I would go to a lecture series, and of course we didn't have them like you guys get to now when I was in college, but what was important to me? And I thought I would think back and say that I would take away a couple of tips. So what I did is Lessons I've Learned. I titled it Lessons I've Learned, and I'm going to talk about, I've had 15 years in the business world working for other businesses and companies, and 15 years of owning my own company. So I've combined those experiences with thoughts and lessons that I've learned and ideas and examples and combined them. So whether you are looking to start your own business or whether you're looking to go out in the business world and work for somebody else, several of these lessons you can translate, and I think you'll get something from them. The first thing I wanted to share with you is last week I was reading a book called The Genius in All of Us. And the essence of the book is where are we born geniuses, or is it our environment, or is it the combination of the two? And at the end, somewhere in the middle of the book, it gets to this fact that says you can become a genius at anything you want to do if you devote 10,000 hours at becoming better at that. So whether it's a musical instrument, a sport, building a business, no matter what it is that you want to become a genius at, you can do that if you're willing to devote 10,000 hours. And it really got me thinking about that this week. It was about 10,000 hours. It was 3 to 4 years when my first company, Occurrence Teleservices, really started gaining some ground and some momentum. So when I talk to entrepreneurs that are just, only in a year in their business and they're struggling to get things going, I now have an idea that until you're at that 10,000 hour mark, you're going to be learning significant lessons and things that will help you to build the business that, occasionally there's an entrepreneur that builds an instant success, but that's rare. Occasionally someone comes along and they can play the piano amazingly, but when you look back, there's probably 10,000 hours in there somewhere. So I wanted to share that with you first. So the first one, treat the company as if it was your own business. So whether you own the business yourself or not, or you're working for someone else, the example that Ian gave you in the introduction to me, I had a huge problem at Morrisera. I was over all the customer service, and we had half-hour holds. People were holding for a half hour on an 800 line that was costing us money to make a $39 reservation to fly. You do the math. It doesn't take a lot rocket scientists to figure out that's expensive time that they're sitting there, and it's terrible customer service. So when I went to this AT&T conference and I saw this breakout session, I thought, I wonder if that could help me. So I went and I said, I've got this idea. And so I took it back. And it took me a long time to convince David Neeleman, who was the president of Morrisera at the time, that this was a great idea. He thought it was a stupid idea. I finally convinced him to do a test, and we took 20 of our best agents that wanted to work from home, took them home, and their productivity went up 15%. So this is my little company. I had about 2,000 of the employees that reported to me indirectly. I was over all of customer service, reservations, airport operations, you name it, human resources. And this was a huge problem that we had. And I didn't just sit there and think, oh, well, I said, this is my little business. How can I solve this problem? I did the same thing when I worked for Mrs. Fields Cookies. I had a region. There was 50 stores in that region. And I said, what can we do to build this business? I didn't look for Mrs. Fields to always create the ways to build that business. Within my 50 stores, I looked for ways to build my business. And you can do that too, no matter what company you work for. Treat it as if it's your own. Pick a business that you have passion for. When I first got out of college, I loved the restaurant business. That's what I was going to do. I was so excited, and I got right into the restaurant business, and I worked full service and fast food, and I worked in cookies and pizza, and I did lots of different things in the restaurant business and loved it and had lots of passion for it. Now, did I love everything about it? No, I did not. But if you're not enjoying 80% of what you're doing in a business, find something else, because I'm telling you, you're going to spend so much time of your life working that you should do something you enjoy, do something that gets you excited, do something that is worthwhile to you, is meaningful, gives you a reason to get up in the morning. Don't just do a job. When you have passion for something, it translates and it comes out, and you will accomplish amazing things. Don't be afraid to surround yourself with people that are better than you. I see this all the time. I am amazed at people when they interview and they find somebody with some amazing talent and they won't hire them. I found this in my own company. I saw it first at like Mrs. Fields and Morrisera, and I'd coach people on hiring better people. But I always saw that there'd be a candidate that I'd be like really excited. This could be my next district manager. And the district manager is interviewing them for a manager position and felt threatened. So they would say, well, I'm not going to hire them. And I'm like, why not? This person could take us to the next level. Oh, I don't know. And they'd start finding all these faults. And what I soon discovered was they were basically afraid to hire somebody who was better than them. And I'm telling you, don't be afraid of that. Hire the best people you can get for every single job. It will uplift you. When I had my own company, I used to do my own finances. And finally, I had someone on my board that said, let's hire a CFO. Well, I can't afford a CFO. If CFO will pay for themselves, they know way more than you do. I don't know. Well, yeah. Tell me, the first week they walk in the job, they know way more than I do about the finances and investing and making our money stretch and cutting costs and you name it. My first CFO paid for his salary in the first 2 months he was with me. Don't be afraid to hire people better than you. Don't be willing to accept it can't be done. I heard this all the time, whether it was at Mrs. Fields Cookies, Sea Galley Restaurant, Godfather's Pizza, or within my own company in Occurrence Tail Services. Oh, it can't be done. That can't work. That won't work. That'll never work. I couldn't believe how many times I heard that. And if I would have accepted that, I have no idea where I'd be today. Certainly not up here, certainly not exiting a business at 20 times the multiple for my investors. There's no way, because I was not willing to accept it can't be done. I was persistent. Maybe it can't be done this way or this way or this way, but there's a way to do it. When I first got the vision of having agents all over the valley, you have to realize this was 1994. There was no internet. There was no work at home. There was no mobile phones. I mean, yeah, we had these bricks. I shouldn't say no. We had a brick. I remember that. But really, the technology finally caught up with my business in about 2002. I mean, the idea in 1993, when I first went to that conference of having home agents, had never really been done. AT&T was really the only one that was doing it, and everybody else was, oh yeah, that's kind of a cool idea, but no, we're not going to do that. So I constantly heard that it couldn't be done. And I just went out and found ways to do it. And we became the pioneer in home agents. It's always funny when people ask me, oh, so you copied JetBlue. No, JetBlue copied me. JetBlue wasn't around in 1994. JetBlue was David Neeleman, who was the president of Morris Air, who was the one who fought me tooth and nail to have home agents. He says, we can't have people working at home. We don't know what they're doing. They could be like, reading or, ironing. Or he would say dumb things like that. And I would say, you know what? I know everything they do. I know everything they do because I know how many calls they take. I know how long they're on the phone. I know their wrap-out time. I know how many segments they sell. I know everything they do. And if they're reading in between calls, what do I care? All I care is how much time do you spend on the phone and how many segments can you sell and what is your productivity rate? And we proved it with a 15% increase on our best agents going home. So we finally convinced him. Then 5 years after his non-compete's up, he starts JetBlue, and guess what? He's doing all home agents. The wave of the future. Sorry, already been done, been doing it for 5 years to a guy who didn't want anything to do with the concept. So you've got to be persistent no matter what field you're in. Don't accept it can't be done. Don't be afraid to fail, make mistakes, and move on. One time I had to do a talk, and the title of the talk was, what have you learned from the mistakes you've made? So it was 45 minutes about the mistakes I've made. So I went back and, in my brain and went, oh, wow, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, ooh, that was a really good one. And what did I learn from that? It was a rather painful experience, actually, to sit there and go back and look at my mistakes, but there have been a lot of them. Over the years, I have got sucked into, let's try this, let's try that, let's do this. One of the things I promised myself I would never do, because I watched Debbie Fields do this, Debbie Fields had a successful cookie business. We were at the top of our game. She went on the London Stock Exchange, got a ton of money, and bought a bakery business, La Petite Boulangerie. I don't even know if any of you have ever heard of it, but it was 200 stores, and she was going to have bakeries and cookies, because you know, bakeries and cookies, that was the same thing. The problem was most of these La Petite Boulangeries were in Northern California on storefronts, and they were a breakfast lunch place, and the cookie stores were retail. They were in mall. So all of a sudden, we're dealing with bakers who have to come in the middle of the night and bake up your product, or you have no business that day. Because if the baked goods aren't out there at 6 a.m., there's nothing to sell. And in the cookie business, you could kind of cook as the, you know, okay, we're getting busy, cook some more cookies. It was pretty fast. Well, we ended up taking all the money from the cookie business and plunking it into the bakery business over and over again, and it hurt the cookie side of the business. And I watched this and I thought, that's a lesson I've learned. I will never get distracted from my core business. Never get distracted from my core business. I will stay in my core business. I can't even tell you the number of times I got pulled out to do outbound when I was an inbound call center, pulled out to start an indoor football team. It was a huge disaster. Pulled out to start a fitness company. Fortunately, that one is, we've still got that one, but it was a big distraction for several years. But numerous times, and I promised myself that I had learned that from Debbie Fields, that I would not get distracted, and that I would stay focused on my core business. So my big thing is, look at it, say, yep, that was a mistake. Going to learn this lesson from it. Move on. Don't keep going over it. It doesn't do any good. Learn from it, but don't dwell on it. Don't live it. I hear a lot of people that do that. This one seems so trite, like oh yeah, okay, we know good customer service. Whatever business you're in, whether it's you own your own business or whether you're working for someone else, and there's some component of customer service. And this, I want you to think back. I want you to think back over the last couple of weeks and think of how many great customer service experiences that you've had. Can you think of even one? How many good? Don't most of them fall in the mediocre, okay, all right, I got what I came to get? And then you remember the really bad ones that you go, are you kidding me? I'm the customer here, and this is the way you're treating me? Seriously, this is not a cliche. This is the problem, is most people don't get this. In whatever business you're in, whatever company you're working for, there is some component of customer service, whether you're the technical person that has to support the person that is on the phone with a customer or is at the desk at the customer, there is a component of customer service. Your customer now is the employee trying to get their job done. And you need to do a great job at that. And it's unfortunate, but it's a lost art. I believe that great customer service is an exception, and it's critical. Know your numbers and watch your cash. I have a good friend. She is going bankrupt she had a $100 million company. She's in the process of going bankrupt and losing everything because her business partner embezzled from her. This is a business partner she had for 11 years. And for 9 years, she watched the cash and knew the numbers. And for 2 years, she got kind of lax because the business had gotten so big. And they'd been doing all these things, and he'd been her partner for 9 years. She completely trusted him. And she knew things weren't quite right. Some numbers didn't look right or whatever, but she'd ask him. He'd explain it away. And now she's losing a $100 million business. I can't stress this one enough. Even if you're working for someone else, you should know your numbers. You should know your business. What segment of your business are you responsible for? What are those numbers telling you? What aren't those numbers telling you? What is it that you need to learn from whoever is supposed to be teaching you about the numbers? I'm telling you, numbers don't lie. When I first took over this region, I was with Mrs. Fields Cookies up in the Seattle area. And she had me run Utah, Colorado, Oregon, Idaho, and Alaska. Well, the first few weeks on the job, I hadn't made a trip down here to Utah yet. I've only met my district manager over the phone. So all I have to go on is the numbers. So I get these printouts every day of how these cookie stores are doing. And then you got their waste, and you got their sales, and you got all these numbers that tell you what that cookie store did and what that district did on a given day. So all I can do is judge the performance by the numbers. I don't know any of the people. It's a great thing. I have to tell you, it's a great thing when you can look at something based on numbers versus put the personalities in there. Because I called the district managers and I said, you have 2 stores in your district, this one and this one, where someone in your store is stealing. She said, oh, what? No. No one in Utah steals. I go, I don't know Utah, never been to Utah, but I'm telling you, you have at least 2 individuals, one in each store, could be more, that are stealing from you. So here's how I know that. This, both stores. Oh, I know the manager of those stores, and I know the employees, and I've worked in those stores. Okay. This went on for a couple of weeks as I watched the numbers. So, of course, I took a flight into Utah, drove down to those stores late at night, did a few orders, secret shopper, nobody knows who I am, secret shopper in, watched as the person at night knew exactly how much the order came up to by the brownies and cookies I ordered, did not ring it in, and made a little mark next to the till. Walked away, went down to the next store, found pretty much the same thing, called the district manager and said, caught your 2 thieves. I don't know how many more you have, but let me tell you, this is what they just did. I want you to come in and fire both of them. She was shocked. She had known both of these employees for more than 2 years and could not believe it. And the only reason she believed it is because when she went in, told them they'd been secret shopped, confronted them, they broke down, cried, and told her. Otherwise, I don't think she would have believed him. If they would have said, I never did that, she would have said, see, you're wrong. Because seriously, she didn't get it, and she was too close, and she wasn't looking at her numbers objectively. It tells you everything you need to know about your business. Find a mentor. I say this all the time. Very few business students do this. In your career, mentors will become critically important to you. I had an opportunity today to give a reference this week for one of the students I mentor for a job that he's trying to get. Ended up that the person only hires BYU graduates. And I was able to give a great reference on the quality of education that this person is getting here at UVU, and how I believe in this school and the business program, and why I know this candidate will do an exceptional job for them. That's what I was able to do. Find a mentor, somebody within the type of industry or within business or in, even if it's not in your field. I had a mentor once who she had a business that was warehousing, setting up warehouses. I didn't think she would be valuable to me. 15 years later, she's still a mentor to me. What she told me changed my business. It was invaluable. Find ways to share in the success of your business. I always say this. If you're one that has a bonus budget and you can give bonuses, or you're managing a group of people and you can give incentives, or there's some way to help them share in the success, great. Most of the time, though, you'll be under the constraints of, sorry, we don't have budget for that, sorry, we don't have budget for that, so sometimes you have to get creative. When I was in the restaurant business, I had a restaurant, it was called Sea Galley Restaurant, similar to like Red Lobster down here. It was in the Pacific Northwest. And I wanted to motivate my waitress staff to increase the average ticket. I saw that we had this average ticket, and I thought, what if we could increase the sales per table? And here's some ideas. So I gave them some training, and then I said, here's what I'm going to do. The person over the next 2 weeks that increases their average ticket the most, I will work your shift, you will get paid, and I'll give you all the tips I make. And I'm a pretty good waitress. I couldn't believe how motivated that wait staff became. And you know what? In the end, it was, what, $100? I mean, it wasn't a huge, but it was we get to watch Carla work our shift. That's what it became. And so I would always get creative in ways to, as a manager, typically you get some kind of bonus or incentive for quarterly results or year-end results or something. I would always share that with the people that helped me. I would find ways. There's ways to incentivize and include people, and you should always do that. Market yourself and your company, or find someone that can. I always share with people an example in my business. I'm not the marketing guru of my company. Never have been. I do it through great customer service. I get a lot of word of mouth, but I'm not a marketing person. And so I've found people within my organization to join with me to become marketers. And if you're in a business and you're struggling and the economy is an issue and you're trying to figure out, there are people that know how to brand, know how to market, and can help you. And I would say they become invaluable. I always use this little, my husband helped me market my company, and he did baseball cards, and our business card became a baseball card, and our theme was, you make the pitch, we'll complete the play, because our clients were out pitching on radio and TV to get somebody to call an 800 number, and we were then the sales organization that would close the deal. And I thought it was a stupid idea. I was just like, are you kidding me? I'm going to be in a baseball uniform. This is dumb. Well, we were the hit of the trade show that year. Everybody was coming up and asking us to sign our baseball cards. That's how big of a hit that was. And so it taught me a big lesson that even if you don't think an idea is great, if you've got a marketing person and they know what they're doing, go with it, because sometimes they'll surprise you. Make sure you have great technology. When I was at Morris Air, I used to think just hire great people. This was back in the early 90s. Just hire great people. Technology was kind of out there, but all I had to do was just hire great people. And that's when I learned if you didn't give great technology to great people, then number one, they couldn't perform as good as they could possibly be. And number two, they usually left because they weren't going to tolerate subpar technology. So I added this one as the years went by, even though I have a love-hate relationship with technology. If it's working, I love it. If it's not, I hate it, and I am not patient at all with technology. And yet I became a technology company because my agents working for home was my sales force. But they had to have great technology to actually do their job. So I started to get religion on this one, and I believe in it. Always work hard to do your best. Another cliche, yeah, sure, we hear that all the time. I'm telling you, most people don't. If you do, you will stand out. You will stand out. The bulk of the people go in, do a job, do only what's expected of them, don't do anything more, never ask. I am shocked when you just see the group of people that just go in to do the job. And then you have a percentage that figure it out. I had agents, this was back in the 90s, I had agents working part-time, 30 hours a week, making 60 grand working from home. They figured it out. They looked at the script and they figured out how to say, okay, what can I do? What is it that's going to motivate this person? Because they were commissioned salespeople. So when they got someone that's calling in for a free audio tape and they talked them into a $500 sell, they figured it out. And the rest of the group just sits in this 60% in the middle that just says, this is what the script says, this is what I do. They don't even try. And it always surprises me when you deal with that in salespeople because they're highly motivated by commission. But I always had a top 20% that said, I'm going to do it better. I'm going to give it all. I'm going to figure it out. Every call is important, no matter what. So If you decide to do this, you will stand out. You will be ahead of the peer group that you're working with, because most people don't. They just go, show up, do the job, sometimes hide out. Have integrity in all your business dealings. I know you hear this. I've seen some of the speakers before talk about it. I wanted to share with you an example of this that is very personal to me. I always believed this. I always felt like, you know, I've got integrity. And in my business, telemarketing, there's not a lot of integrity. It's a very kind of, should I say, sleazy business. People, you know, when people, I would say I have a telemarketing company, people go, oh, okay. Nobody would be like, oh, tell me about it. They didn't think that was exciting business to be in. So one time it came to me, this situation happened, and it was early in my company, a couple of years into it. And what happened is, we're in the middle of the night, infomercial runs, hundreds of calls start coming in, and my phone switch goes down. And so all those calls get blocked. A few hours later, we finally get the phone switch back up, and some calls come in. That means people have been trying for a while. But the client has paid for an advertisement that's going to produce about 450 calls. They know by what they spent about what calls they'll get. We do the final tally, and they get like 140 calls. And the client's going, man, that was a lousy ad, meaning a lousy buy. They didn't buy a good spot. And it was a moment of truth for me. Because if I wouldn't have said anything, they would have never known. They would have just thought it was a lousy buy. And I said, no, you know, we block calls because our phone switch went down in the middle of the night. And they said, what? And I said, yeah, so this is really your drag. What's considered drag is the calls that come in after an infomercial has run, hours and days later. And I said, so I want to know how much you spent on that ad, and I will pay to run it again so that we'll get the calls that you should have got. And now, it was a $5,000 mistake. That's how much they paid for that ad. It was early on in my company. I couldn't afford $5,000. It was really a difficult thing to do. But I knew it was the right thing to do. And, you know, there were people around me that saw, and as in the people that work with me saw what I did, and it sent a clear message about integrity. But that client became a lifetime client. That client never doubted again, ever, what I said. If I'd say, you know, well, obviously it didn't work, that spot didn't work. They didn't think, well, did you block my calls, or did you abandon my calls? Or they knew that we had integrity, and we would tell them. So there are going to be times when you don't have to fess up. There will be. You'll have to make that decision for yourself. And I'm telling you, this always pays off. Have fun. I always include this because it seems to me like a lot of people are not enjoying the work that they're in. And for me, it was always easy. People say, well, telemarketing, you know, I mean, how could you really enjoy telemarketing? My passion, what I really loved to do, was employ people from home. So my passion was all wrapped around, how do I employ more people from home? Well, you have to build a bigger business. So telemarketing became the vehicle to employ more people from home. And so that was my passion. That's what got me up in the morning. That's what got me excited. So when people came into my office and said, thanks for this job, I don't know what I would have done if I wouldn't have been able to work from home. This has really saved me. That is what I got excited about. That's what I had a lot of passion around. That's what I enjoyed. And there is something in all of us that is something you're excited about, you enjoy doing, you have a lot of fun at. And so find a way to be in a business that helps you accomplish that. One of the questions I get a lot is, how is being a woman business owner different than being a man business owner? or a man in the business world or a woman in the business world. How's that different? Well, since I've never been a man in the business world, not quite sure what that's like, but I will share with you what it is like to be a woman in a business world. I've loved it, obviously. I've enjoyed the time, but I have to say that I got creative. And this was before there was laptops and internet and cell phones. When I had to go back to the office, when I had more work to do, I actually physically had to go back to the office in the middle of the night. Where now, I mean, obviously I don't. I just grab my laptop, grab my iPhone or whatever and get some work done. A lot of times I do my accounting late at night, so there was no way to do that except for go into the office. So fortunately for you, most of you will have the opportunity to balance the work-family thing by being able to do it at home. If you've got children, maybe you can do it after they go to sleep or when they're taking naps or when they're watching their favorite TV show or video, and you can get some work done so that you can balance it. Early on, it was difficult for me to do, and I didn't do it really well. As the years went by, I figured out how to do it, and I'll share a little story with you that illustrates this. When I won that Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, you get to go up and thank everybody that you want to. So when I got up there, I was thanking, of course, my employees and my investor and all those people. And at the end, I said, I really want to thank my 3 sons because I feel like they sacrificed the most while growing up having a mom that owned her own company. And for a while, I was a single mom, so it was a real challenge. And that feeling like they had sacrificed the most. So my boys had all come to the event. They were in the audience. They had all come to the event together. By then, they were grown. And then they left together. And in the car on the way home, one of them said, "What do you think about that comment Mom made about us sacrificing the most?" And they all said, I don't know what she meant by that. I don't feel like we sacrificed. And he goes, neither do I, neither do I. And together they agreed that they never felt like that they had sacrificed, that they felt like because I had been in the business world, whether it be working for a corporation or owning my own business, that they had lots of opportunities because of that. So they felt like that provided many opportunities. And so for you women in the audience that are sitting there going, how do I do this? It can be done. And you make the commitment and you prioritize and you balance, but it definitely can be done. So I've got a few minutes left, and I'll just open it up for questions. No questions? Sounds quick. Huh? Oh, they will? Okay, I'll give them some time. They got to warm up to the idea. Yes?
Well, it sounds like you're just an amazing example of a woman in the working field who actually enjoys what she's doing. Did you get a lot of heat for doing that, and how did you overcome that?
You know, I think a big portion of that comes from your attitude. I think if I would have been, oh, poor me, I've got a family, I've got these boys, I've got a husband, I think, yeah. But I never was. I never felt that way. Not to say I didn't feel overwhelmed, because if you own your own business, or even if you're working for a major corporation, you're going to feel overwhelmed at times. So I think it's really your attitude. If you believe, man, I can figure this out, I can do it all, then, and obviously you have to marry someone. It's no different for a man, though, because I know a lot of men that didn't marry the right person and ended up, they weren't supportive in their decision to be in business. So, you have to have somebody that's supportive of that and a team with you. But you can figure it out. There is that balance, and there's a way to do it. So I think it's more about how your attitude is. People would always say to me, how can you be so happy? How can you be all so energetic, enthusiastic? Oh, don't you ever have down days? Oh, yeah, I have down days. No, nobody doesn't have down days. But it's how you decide to, it's attitude. And so people didn't give me a hard time because I think that they saw that I loved what I was doing and I was enjoying it. So I think if you're not loving what you're doing and not enjoying it, yeah, then people are going to say, you know, why are you doing that? Why are you taking that time away from your family? You know, don't you feel bad about that? So, other question? I've answered all of them. Randy.
Back to the gender thing, is it harder for women, do you think, because you've had a lot of employees, is it harder for women to start their own business or to move to the executive ranks in a business than for a man?
I would say that it can be. I know that I felt like as I was moving up the corporate ladder, I had to outperform my male counterparts significantly to get the same opportunities. You know, I think that's the challenge. Is they knew I was having kids. They knew they'd have to deal with the pregnancy thing. They knew they'd have to deal with the leave time, and so sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to deal with that. See, if you become a superstar, they kind of, well, I want to overlook those because she's just so much better than this person or this person. I'm going to promote her. So I did feel like sometimes I had to significantly outperform my peers. But at the same time, I've had a lot of advantages. I know that there are programs for women for borrowing money that the men don't even have access to. I took advantage of every single one of them. I was like, I'm a woman. Give me your money. You know, I wasn't proud. I didn't say, oh no, I mean, this should be equal, or, you know, too bad, guys, you don't get this money. I mean, there are things that women have access to that men don't. And quite honestly, I think that, you know, as women, there are certain personality traits and certain things. I think we naturally develop people better than men do. I see where men have their strengths, and I see where women have their strengths. So I think if you get into a field where you can use your natural talents that they're going to excel, yeah, I think you have an advantage. But it still comes down to your attitude. I mean, if I would have taken the position as, I'm just as good as he is, and I can't believe I didn't get that promotion, and that's not fair, you know, that wouldn't have got me anything. If anything, it just made me work harder. Okay, I should have had that. I should have got that opportunity. So I just worked harder. And I think it's attitude. It's how do you approach it? What do you do? How do you address it? What approach do you take? Any other questions? Yes? There are a couple of things that I noticed that were different when I was in corporate America versus owning my own company. So in owning my own company, it was a 24/7 and it was, you know, all consuming, but I could make my time. So if my son had a science fair in the middle of the afternoon, I just blocked that out. Maybe I'd have to go back later, but I blocked that out and I made it to that. In corporate America, that was a little more difficult to do. I'd miss the science fair sometimes because I couldn't make my own schedule. That's a challenge unless you have an employer that's willing to work around that. So there's give and take on both of them. And I think what you have to do is look at your opportunities and look at what makes sense for you and your family situation. It's interesting. I never went out to go from the restaurant business to the airline business. That happened on an airplane ride. That I met David Neeleman, and I ended up leaving the restaurant business and going to the airline business to get off the road. I was traveling so much with Mrs. Fields Cookies, and I just didn't feel good about that anymore. And I knew I needed to get off the road, and the opportunity presented itself on an airplane ride. So sometimes when what we want and what we're really looking for, we just have to be open because it will present itself, and then you'll know it. You'll go, okay, this makes sense for me. Oh, there we go. One last question.
You were mentioning about there are some programs for women to borrow money. Can you
Yes.
give some resources?
Well, I went through, the one that we had at the time was the Small Business Administration had money. They were guaranteeing loans for women business owners. And so that's the money that I went after and got like $180,000 loan at the time. And it was guaranteed by the SBA, so the bank was willing to take it. I do have a flyer on a woman that does small loan, or that does loans, smaller loans than that. So I could give you some information afterwards if you want, because there are people that are out there loaning money right now to women business owners. So, okay, thank you.
I'd like to thank Carla for that wonderful presentation and for all that she does for the Woodbury School of Business. Please come down and ask other questions. We're grateful for her help and support. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.